Good morning, my fair, impartial, and reasonable patriots. Take a look at this from NBC News. They label it under Culture Matters. A year into the pandemic, America's remaining lesbian bars are barely hanging on. We'll go into that shortly. But the reason the lesbian bars are barely hanging on is the reason why most bars are barely hanging on. Take a look at the subheadline. They provide a safe space, a place for camaraderie, a place for community, and of course, a place to get laid, said actor Leah Del Ria. Well, Leah, the only way I know you're referring to a lesbian bar by that definition is the first item. They provide a safe space? Well, in a regular bar, it's anything but safe. You're gonna be talking about sports, politics, women, your job, and you're gonna have verbal disagreements. And depending on if you or the person you're talking to has been into your cups just a little bit too deep, it may stray from verbal to physical. So I would never consider any bar I've ever been in a safe space. Hell, if it was, why the hell would you want to go? Let's get on with the story. It took Denise Cohen over 2 years to open Philadelphia's last lesbian bar, the Toasted Walnut, and just 10 months for the COVID-19 pandemic to shut it down forever. Yeah, and it wasn't the COVID pandemic that shut it down. It was, well, they even say so later in the story, so let's wait for it. There is that hopelessness, that sense of loss, that, I had no control over this. It wasn't even me being a bad business person, Cohen said. Cohen opened the Toasted Walnut in 2016, 3 years after Sisters Nightclub, then the city's only lesbian venue, closed down. Business was strong at the Toasted Walnut, Cohen said, until the pandemic struck last March, forcing her to temporarily shut its doors in compliance with government orders. We'll get back to that shortly. But $11,000 in rent was still due each month. You see, that's the problem with all businesses, isn't it? The government has told you to shut your doors, but you still have fixed expenses. $11,000 in rent. On top of that, she still has to pay her business taxes, and there's certain utilities she just didn't turn them off, so there's a minimum charge for gas, electric, water, all that other good stuff that she still had to pay. I'm guessing that her final bill was much higher than that $11,000 in rent. And you see, it's not like the landlord could just waive that rent, because in all probability, the landlord, well, he and the bank really own that building. He has a mortgage. He has to pay that mortgage. On top of that, the city is going to tax him too. They're going to tax him for the amount of money he makes on that building every month. And there's a property tax that's pretty strong too for businesses. That's even worse than if you own a house in Philadelphia. The business property tax is astronomical. Let's get back now to the compliance with government orders. Let's see what she was talking about. As you can see, we have to go back a year. This is from the phillyvoice.com, and you can see it's dated March 16, 2020. Philly bars, restaurants ordered to close as coronavirus restrictions broaden. You notice it doesn't say lesbian bars and restaurants. All bars and restaurants were closed under the order of Governor Tom Wolf. Governor Tom Wolf tells all non-essential businesses in Pennsylvania to shut down. Wait, it gets better. Let's go to the good bit right away. Now remember, this story was from March 16. The news came just an hour before Governor Tom Wolf ordered all non-essential businesses in Pennsylvania to close down for 2 weeks, beginning at midnight. Over a year later, well, is it any surprise that bars, restaurants, and what he considers non-essential businesses are feeling the pain? These businesses remain closed not because of any law that was passed by a state legislature, but because your governor has executed a decree ordering it. A decree that, well, may not stand up in the face of courts, but it'll take a very long time for it to go through the courts. So by the time this even reaches the courts on the legality, if it was legal or not, you're already out of business.